ওই যে বললে
Welcome to ABC Real Time Talk Show. And today our points of discussions are political landscapes centering elections to the 12th Parliament in Bangladesh. And for these purposes, we have invited 4 guests from different countries. And they are from my right, Mr. Sayed Badrul Haider. He is a columnist,
বদরুল
analyst,
হাসান
Asad. He's a political columnist, political analyst, and a biographer. He is from United Kingdom. Then Mr. Wali Rahman, former Special Envoy of Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and Foreign Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs. And at the same time, he is the chairman, Heritage Foundation, and in Bangladesh. Then Mr. Farhad Hussain. He is a political analyst and basically a professor at the university. Well, let us enter into the whole discussions. And first of all, I would like to draw the attention of Mr. Farhad Hussain. Mr. Farhad Hussain, you know very well, the Bangladesh is now in a very critical stage.
Sinha, if I may interrupt, you have not introduced Mr. Muhammad Alamgir.
Oh, sorry. And Mr. Alamgir, attorney at law, and he's the present chairman of FOBANA, that is Federation of Bangladesh Association in North America. And he is a former attorney. At the same time, he was member of Columbia Bar and Supreme Court Bar, USA. And now let us start the whole discussions. And first of all, I'd like to draw the attention to Mr. Farhad Hussain. Mr. Farhad Hussain, you know very well that he's passing a very critical stage of his political dilemma. And central elections of the 12th Parliament, so many things are happening. And recently, Jatiyo Party and General Ibrahim, from his own standpoint, already announced they are going to participate in the elections. What are your overall analysis, please? Mr. Farhad Hussain.
Thank you, Sinha. It is a great privilege and honor for me that I have become a participant in this prestigious talk show with Ambassador Wali Rahman, from whom I learned a lot. From you, I learned a lot. And Syed Badrul Hasan, I have learned many things. So it's a great privilege for me that I have become the part of this show today. You know that Bangladesh is passing a particular through a particular situation. This situation, which is combined with unrest situation, taking decision, and everything, particularly in the field of politics. You know that the scenario is going to a change, and at every moment we are getting so many information, news about the upcoming election and the participation of several political parties in the impending election to be held on January 7th. The important thing is that a buzzword is going on, whether it would be the participatory election without the participation of BNP in the election. And it was an assumption and presumption of many political analysts that without BNP, the impending election might not be the participatory election. But now the picture and scenario is being changed. JP, that means Jatiyo Party, has already announced to participate in the election. Trinamool BNP has already clarified their position to attend the election. General Ibrahim of Kollan Party also announced to attend the election, and some other political parties are ready to participate in the election. My my thinking or my assumption is that when the election will be held, I think that I'll be able to see a sizable opposition party in the parliament, and this sizable opposition or treasury or opposition bench in the parliament will create a situation where nobody will be able to comment that the election has not been a participatory election. I think that when Jatiyo Party, I think that will command seats in the parliament, some seats, other parties, which will constitute a particular strong opposition party. And so, as many political scientists or analysts are thinking that there might be the possibility of the picture, dismal picture in the parliament, I think that this might not be happened. There will be a sizable uh, opposition bench in the parliament, and that will create a particular situation where we can say that there is a balanced parliament and nobody is there to comment like this, as the election had been criticized, the election of 2018 and 2014. So I think it is my thinking that in so many talk shows, I have been asked that BNP is doing the proper thing not to participate in the election. Yes, I think so. It was a golden opportunity for BNP exactly to participate in the election. No doubt, BNP is one of the largest political parties of Bangladesh, and they were in powers for several state powers in several times. So this year, they might have a chance exactly to constitute a position, a strong position as an opposition in the parliament. And I think that they have lost this opportunity. And I'm surprised to see that BNP has got a particular psyche to decline the election or unwillingness to participate in the election. And there is a buzzword that is going on in the minds of so many leaders of BNP, that BNP is in a position of uncompromising attitude, and their leader Begum Khalida Zia is an uncompromising leader. But I think that this should not be exactly. This should not be. This word cannot be exactly proper in politics. Politics is a thing. Politics is an institution. There might have an opportunity to compromise, to negotiate, to dialogue. I think so. Thank you, Sinabai.
Thank you very much, Professor Farad. Now, this is the turn to Sayyid Badrul Hassan. He is from UK. Mr. Badrul Hassan, you have a very bright career of journalism, long career. And once upon a time, you made a history in this field. Now you're almost settled in UK. Still, you are a columnist, political analyst, and biographer. So, if I pose a question to you, do you find anything miracle about about joining of BNP in the elections? Yes, Mr. Badrul Hassan.
Thank you, sir. Sinabai, thank you very much. And I'm very happy to share this platform this evening with so many esteemed people from Dhaka, Ambassador Waliur Rahman, Mr. Mohammad Alamgir, and Professor Farhad Hussain, and of course yourself. Now, I would like to begin by stating a fact that the opposition, I mean, we in Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh, as we all know from history, we are a people who have always been election oriented, going back to the 1950s, all through the 1960s to Bangabandhu's time, and the election of December 1970. So we have always looked forward to elections because We are a people who believe in democracy. Now, the problem with politics today, these days, if we look at the opposition, well, I'm willing to agree. Yes, they have their own point of view, but then when a political party makes it a point to demand the overthrow or ouster of an elected government, that there lies the problem. So, on the one hand, they want elections, free and fair and credible elections, which is fine. All of us need that kind of want that kind of information, that kind of election. But at the same time, the election should be in a way where no conditions are imposed. Now, the opposition, of course, uh, draws our attention to the 2014 elections, which it boycotted. By the opposition, I mean the opposition led by the BNP. In about the 2018 elections, they have a number of questions. Okay, that's understood, and of course also acknowledged. But now, at this point of time, uh, the BNP, if we look at the history of political parties in Bangladesh, or going back all the way to Pakistan, see, uh, political parties which have stayed away from elections, they have not fared much. So the survival of a political party, of any political party in Bangladesh, depends on its participation in elections. So, as to your question, whether a miracle can happen, uh, going by what Professor Farhad Hussain has said, he gave us an enumeration of the political parties which are coming into the election. A lot of things have been happening over the last few days. Sayyid General, there's this there are these alliances which have broken away, parties which have broken away from the main opposition. They're joining the election. So everybody uh, fundamentally understands that elections are important. So I think uh, perhaps at the last moment, it will dawn on the BNP and everybody else who is ready to boycott the election, that boycotting elections is not the answer. Because if you boycott an election, and if the election goes ahead, and we believe it will go ahead as the elections of 2014 and 2018 went ahead, I think by boycotting the election this time, they will miss the train. A political party or politicians cannot afford to miss the train all the time, because this country is, let's face it, we need a strong parliament, we need a strong, powerful ruling party. At the same time, we need a very credible, viable opposition in the Jatiya সংসদ. Because in the Jatiya সংসদ, since our system is the Westminster system, we believe in a process of politics where the ruling party and the opposition can engage in robust, healthy debate about the issues. So the opposition, we are not willing to predict who will win the election or who will lose the election, but the fact remains is every political party which claims to be in the field for restoration of politics, normal politics, in favor of democracy, I think they should come in. So about the miracle, well, it's in politics, miracles actually do not happen. And in 1970, and also later on, and before that, 1954, we saw that all these elections which took place, the Jukta Front in 1954, the Awami League in 1970, they were their campaigns were based on concrete plans. So Jukta Front 21-point program, the Awami League 6-point program, and they won it. So I think in the current scenario, uh, it will be advisable for the opposition to devise its programs on the economy. The economy is in very good shape, and on the continuity of that economy, if it means to come to power, and at the same time, it should also devise its own foreign policy, its social welfare policy, what it means to do. Now, and that doesn't tally. I mean, it's a program. It's program of blockades and hartals nowadays doesn't tally with modern politics. As I wrote in an article a few days ago, in the past, hartals and blockades were necessary. Talking from the 1960s, even up to the 1970s, up to 1990, with the fall of General Ershad, and beginning in 1994 up to 1996, when we needed another caretaker government to ensure a return of decent government in the country. But now, hartals and blockades have outlived their purposes. And we can see it every day because the opposition calls hartals and blockades, but you see the people, they're not observing, they're working, the business is going on. So it has lost credibility. So the opposition, I think, has, between now and between the last date of filing the nomination papers, it should rethink its strategy. That will be something which will be appreciated by the people of the country. Even though the question will be how many percentage of people support them, or how many people support the ruling party. But participation is important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sayed Badru Hassan. Now I move to Ambassador Wali Rahman. Mr.
Uh,
Wali Rahman, you are not only a veteran, experienced ambassador, and so far we know that you are almost an encyclopedia. Having this in mind, my question to you, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Donald Lu has already passed a letter to the three political parties urging them to start negotiation so that they can join the election. You know very well that Bangladesh is passing a phase of confrontational politics. Awami League and BNP, they are very they're very much opposed to each other, almost on every areas, every subjects. And how America can expect that without having any negotiator or media, these two political parties can sit together? Do you
Thank
find
you.
any silver line here?
Thank you, my friend Dr. Sinha. I feel a bit embarrassed with your introduction. Uh, well, we're all trying to learn and share thoughts with friends at home and abroad. But I appreciate your efforts in getting these programs on and sharing thoughts together. Thank you. You mentioned about Mr. Lu, Donald Lu. Mr. Donald Lu is somehow a person who is very well known in South Asia. Perhaps I can recall, help everybody else to remember what he tried to do in Pakistan. As a matter of fact, he did something in Pakistan, which, thanks to the support of the army, which actually rules Pakistan, not the political personalities. He had Mr. Imran Khan thrown out of the government, and there was a government of the choice of the military, which is also the choice of Mr. Donald Lu, meaning the State Department. So far as Mr. Donald Lu is concerned now, when he visited Bangladesh some months ago, and then followed up by letter last week, we discussed about this letter, and one of my friends advised me that please advise Mr. Lu to try to bring back or bring in the two parties in the USA, Mr. Donald Trump and the current president together, because they are going towards two different pathways. So Mr. Lu is instead of being a compromised guy, he has been known for creating problems or situations in South Asian countries, and it's not a very happy thing for any country. As a matter of fact, this I must share with you. When he visited our neighboring country, India, our friend, and our neighbor, uh, and Indian Foreign Ministry had a long chat with Mr. Lu and the people around with Mr. Donald Lu. And they specifically advised him that please remember that Bangladesh is a democratic country. It has a history of its own. It fought a war of liberation, and the war of liberation which was opposed by the United States of America, by you. Therefore, any kind of advisory communication to Bangladesh by you people may not be taken by the government of Bangladesh, particularly the present Prime Minister, whose father was murdered in 1971 in a brutal killing expedition by some countries, by some groups of people, which are known to have some communications outside Bangladesh. See, I'm telling you, I'm recalling this story to you and for my colleagues because this is what the United States of America, our good friend, is trying to do in Bangladesh. And response from Bangladesh has been very clear and swift that Mr. Donald Lu can remain in his place. We are a democratic country. Our birth has taken place as my two learned previous speakers said, particularly said Badrul Hassan, the birth of Bangladesh itself is a story. And he has written a book on Bangabandhu where he has mentioned number of times. Anybody who has time to read that book should read that book. How this country was born and why Bangladesh cannot and should not and must not accept this kind of advisories from countries which oppose the very birth of this country. So Mr. Donald Lu's advisory was taken very badly in Bangladesh, perhaps even by some segments, some sectors in the BNP. BNP is a political party about which Professor Farhad dwelt at length. It's a political party which basically does not believe in the basic framework of the birth of Bangladesh. Majority of BNP leadership does not believe in the very framework of the birth of Bangladesh. If that be the case, therefore, BNP not coming to the election, as has been dwelt at length by my friends speakers before me, it's not a surprise. As a matter of fact, in the history of political science and political history, the whole world, in the last 400 years, if you start from the 1668, I beg your pardon, 1648, history of political developments in various countries have been that it's a progression of democratic movement. Democracy has various ways of its movement. Now, you see, when I must still share a story with you. I was coming with from Australia back to Bangladesh years ago after attending a conference in Papua New Guinea. In front of me, there was a gentleman who was the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Mr. Mahathir Mohamad. He was Prime Minister for 22 years. Now, he was surrounded by some young people around. So I got hold of one of them. I said, can I talk to the Prime Minister? He said, sir, why not? One of them went to the Prime Minister and says that a guy from the Bangladesh team delegation wants to talk to you. So I went to him. And he said, look, developing country like ours, we need stability, we need political parties, of course, we need nirbachan election, of course, but stability is number one. And look, Mahathir Mohamad in 21 and a half years, he started with $200 per capita and he finished with about $12,000 per capita per Malaysian. Now, coming back to my country, when we are talking about democracy and democratic formula, etc., etc., for democracy to take roots in a country like Bangladesh, uh, Bangabandhu started as Sayyid Badrul Hassan said very well, but then he wasn't allowed to continue. His life was cut short. And by whom? We know by whom. That's the beauty of this whole thing. We know by who did it. Uh, 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 Badrul's book has given some hints, but not perhaps fully. Perhaps he has left it for other people to complete the sentence, complete the text of what he has attempted in that book. Who killed him? Now, uh, we today, today that we are still in the midst of a battle for institutionalizing democracy and democratic formula, democratic movement. But then it is being, uh, it is being uh, made difficult by parties like BNP. Now, what is BNP? We must know that. If I have to say this, BNP, as I said, I'm repeating that the majority of BNP members do not believe in the War of Liberation of 1971. They do not believe in what we call uh, the spirit of the War of Liberation. যেটা বাংলায় সুন্দর করে আমরা বলার চেষ্টা করি যে মুক্তিযুদ্ধের চেতনা, চেতনা has a kind of a feeling, chetana has a meaning which cannot be properly translated into English. So this is the spirit of the War of Liberation. Spirit actually does not reflect chetana, but chetana has a very different dimension in Bangla. Now, they do not believe in that. Therefore, uh, I am for, well, as a matter of fact, General Ibrahim's party was a coalition partner of BNP. He has come out with his people. Then Trinamool BNP is a new political party headed by Mr. Shamshan Babin Chowdhury, one of my junior colleagues. And then the other Jatiyo Party, of course, is coming after a long dilly-dallying, which is very good news. So it is a participatory election. যেটা বাংলায় বলা হচ্ছে বারবার আমাদের বন্ধুরা বলছেন যে free, fair and participatory election. So it is going to be free and fair and participatory election. After this, so many groups are coming and joining the electoral process. You know something that even today, if I could understand very well, that during a briefing by the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she said that kind of not exactly these words, but then the doors are still open. Doors are open. People may come because we want as many people as possible to take part in the election. And that's the reality in Bangladesh. Elections will
Well,
take place.
Omar,
And,
I'll come to
let
you
me
again.
finish. Let me
I will
finish.
come to you. Thank you very much.
Elections, no, no, I finished. Election will
Yeah.
take place, and we have a new government in the near future, and then Bangladesh democratic process will move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wali Rahman, for your excellent explanation. Mr. Alomgir, you are in America. You are also chairman of Fobana, the largest association of Bangladeshi people there. And you are also attorney, practiced for a long time. What is your understanding about the recent development taking place in Bangladesh? Well, Mr. Alomgir. Mr. Alongir, we are not listening to you. Please,
Unmute.
you speak loudly, please.
আনমিউট করতে হবে।
Unmute, please.
Ah,
Mr. Alongir, unmute, please. Unmute. We are not listening to you.
there's a problem.
I think Mr. Alongir is not listening to us. Well, we'll come to Mr. Alongir again, please. Now, I have a very simple question to Professor Faradu Said, because you listen to Ambassador Walid Rahman. He uttered several times the BNP majority of the totally feel at the existence of Bangladesh, and he quoted you. Is it so? Please, Professor Faradu Said.
Thank you, Sinabai, that you have given me chance once again. And I listened to Professor Ambassador Wali Rahman and Sir Badrul Ehsan. Since my knowledge is limited, I am benefited from the speeches of Sir Badrul Ehsan and Ambassador Wali Rahman. They have given a very precise delivery, particularly on the impending election, taking the reference of the past. Yes, as a citizen of Bangladesh, I am apprehended to see the intervention created by the United States of America in our election. Election is ours, election of Bangladesh. But I think that political practices are being done by American diplomats, American personalities working in the State Department of the United States of America. It is a matter of apprehension for me because I have been experienced with the American rule played exactly by the United States of America in 1971 when it was a freedom fighting. All Bengali people are in the battlefield to fight for independence. It was the United States of America who left no stone unturned to create impediments on the way of the emergence of Bangladesh as an independent country. And you know that Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had shown a very lunatic sentiment in the Security Council of the United Nations, being heavily backed by the United States of America during the time. We cannot forget the video footage. Still today, it has been going on. Exactly. The Bhutto's attitude, which was totally unparliamentary attitude and quite, it was not, it was not the norms of normal diplomacy at all. So I should say that BNP has got a particular tendency or sentiment to depend on the foreigners, particularly the decision of the United States of America. The BNP is taking the decision of Donald Lu. BNP is taking the decision of Mr. Peter Haas, the ambassador of the United States of America in Bangladesh, William B. Milam, Uzra Jia, all are coming and going. And BNP is taking counseling and many things from them. So, how far it is justifiable? How far it will be good for particularly a political party like BNP to take counseling from the foreigners? Now, I'd like to tell one thing, that wherever America has gone, like Libya, like Iraq, like Syria, and even I'd like to say Vietnam, what are the conditions and pictures of those countries? You know, Iraq, Syria, and Libya were very fine, beautiful countries. They were progressing economically, one of the richest countries of the world, not only in Middle East, but what is the picture of those countries economically and politically? You know, America destroyed political institutions, their economy, their influence in global arena as influential countries. What was the reason? That the United States of America attacked Iraq on a false report that Iraq had achieved a particular weapons which will be dangerous. Exactly not. That Saddam Hussein was out of the control of the United States of America during the time, like Libyan Gaddafi and Bashar al-Assad. These are the things we have got a very bitter experience. America is very frequently talking about human rights, democracy, and all those things. But what is the condition of the human rights when America is backing Israel, giving a very blank check to commit genocide in the 21st century? It is a question. In every 10 minutes, a Palestinian child is being killed by the reckless bombardment and military campaign, reckless firing in Gaza Strip. And you know that the Israel has been backed not only by arms and ammunitions, not only by gathering the largest aircraft in the Mediterranean, but also declared 1.6 billion dollars to the Israeli government so that they can continue their genocide against the poor and humble, innocent Palestinians confined in Gaza Strips. This is a question, and that is why I'd like to. I'm apprehended. What was the necessity of the United States of America to pass Burma Act? What is the aim and objective? We have come to know by this time that America has a clandestine policy to divide Myanmar into three parts in the name of exercising democracy in that country. And that is why Bangladesh is needed. Bangladesh, and not only Bangladesh, also the northeast states of India are needed to have the airways so that America could exactly ensure the air striking on Myanmar. India named the Burma, the colonial name. This is the target. So American psyche is very clear to us. And uh, what will be the duty of all political parties of Bangladesh in that situation? What is the reason of American policy like this in Asia? Only to make a blockade against China, because America is totally now convinced that China has become an emerging force, and this emerging force is very much detrimental and a particular challenge to the influence of the United States of America in the context of geopolitics, particularly in Asia. So it is the main target of the United States of America to make a blockade before China so that China could not exactly proceed on by their Sino project, Sino concept. This is the policy now adopted by the United States of America. So, what will be the duty of the political parties of Bangladesh? The political parties of Bangladesh should address this matter with the highest and peakable stage of patriotism. The country is the first, then politics, then political parties. Now, all the parties should have a concurrent decision exactly to stand against this sort of injurious policies of the United States of America towards Bangladesh in the name of democracy, like the rock of Himalaya. Otherwise, the catastrophe is waiting for us. What will be the situation Bangladesh will face in the coming days? We cannot exactly right now make the prediction over this. So, as a citizen of Bangladesh, it is my humble request to all political parties of Bangladesh to be united together, to the united together against American policy, which they are playing towards Bangladesh. Thank you, Sinabai.
Thank you very much, Professor Farhat Hussain. Mr. Alongir, are you okay? You listen to me? Alongir? Mr. Alongir? We are not listening to you. Again, the same problems. What to do over the past few minutes? We don't understand.
Perhaps he is using laptop. Laptop is a problem exactly to make the communication in talk show.
No,
He should
but
have
I,
been serious from the very beginning. Yeah, Mr.
laptop.
Alongi,
is he still?
still he is facing problem.
He's
Well,
unmute.
Mr. Syed Bajul Hassan, you
I'm sorry.
listen to Ambassador Wali Rahman and Professor Farad Hussain, and they spoke in a very high speed and spirit. At the same time, all the time they blamed the America mostly, without seeing the beauty of the American democracy. America did a lot of things outside Bangladesh, but even they did not do anything in Bangladesh. So we should not be so apprehended at this very moment. So what is your understanding about these speeches made by Ambassador Wali Rahman and Professor Farad?
Now there. Thank you again. I'm sorry we're not being able to hear Mr. Muhammad Alamgir. He has some serious problems at his end. Hopefully he'll come back to us. Now, Ambassador Wali Rahman and Professor Farhad Hussain have stated their points, and they have focused on the United States. But yes, as you have mentioned in your remarks a few seconds ago, American democracy has always been uh, uh, an example for people around the world. They will have their elections next month. The only thing is, at this time in 2024, unlike only the other day, in fact, the day before yesterday, 22nd of November, was the 60th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Now, I'm mentioning this fact because there used to be a time when American presidents were younger. They were in their 40s, in their 50s, and in their 60s. And when President Eisenhower left office at the end of two terms in 1961, it was remarked that he was the oldest president in office. But now, uh, President Biden has reached the age of 81. So, but that again shows the vitality of American democracy. Unfortunately, American democracy, the way America practices its democracy, has not been seen in other parts of the world. Like if we go back to Iran, for example, in 1953, the nationalist government of Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh was removed through CIA involvement, and the Shah was returned to power. Then, towards the end of the Shah's regime in 1978, President Jimmy Carter went to Tehran and described Iran as a symbol of stability in the region. A few months later, the Shah was removed by the revolution led by the Ayatollahs. In 1991, there were free elections in Algeria, which was won by the Islamist group FIS, but they were not allowed to come back to power. Now, in over the question of Ukraine, the Americans have led this move to arm Ukraine to the teeth, and in order to keep the Russians at bay. Sanctions have been imposed by the International Criminal Court, of course, with American support on President Vladimir Putin. But then look at the irony: the same kind of sanctions, same kind of action has not been taken against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He has killed more than 14,000 Palestinians, and yes, the United States and the rest of the Western world is behind him. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, my esteemed friends have already pointed it out. In Bangladesh, the 1971 factor is always there, and we have this basket case idea, which was first propagated by Alexis Johnson just 10 days before the end of the war in 1971. He said at a White House, at a meeting of the Washington Special Actions Group, that Bangladesh will be an international basket case. And Henry Kissinger said, but not necessarily our basket case. The difficulty with Americans in our part of the world has always been that they have never been able to accept nationalist governments which have been independent in nature. In 1976, if I recall correctly, Pakistan's Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he told a public meeting in Pakistan that there was a letter from Dr. Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of State at the time, demanding that Pakistan do away or rescind its nuclear program, and quote and unquote, we will make a horrible example of you. That's what Mr. Bhutto said. In Bangladesh, the Americans were never happy, firstly, with the Mujibnagar government, secondly, with Bangabandhu's government, because it was very nationalistic in nature. And now it's not very happy with Sheikh Hasina's government. But if you look at our history from 1975 up to 1996, and then a little later, the Americans were very happy with all the governments that came in. General Ziaur Rahman, General Hossein Mohammad Ershad, Begum Khalida Zia. They had no complaints about these governments in Bangladesh. But whenever a nationalist government comes, which pursues an independent economic policy, an independent foreign policy, they have a problem. Now, the difficulty for us is that politicians, many politicians, a large section of politicians in Bangladesh, even today, believes that American intervention in Bangladesh politics through through the imposition of sanctions, through the imposition of economic restrictions, they will lead to a change of government. And the way the Americans have been acting in Bangladesh, the hyperactive American ambassador in Dhaka, Peter Haas, he has been the way he has been moving around. It gives us a feeling that we have all these years after 1947, we have a new viceroy in the country. But that cannot be acceptable because ours is an independent country. And as a citizen, I am glad. See, as citizens, we all of us may have problems with the present government. We may have questions about the workings of the present government, about certain of its actions, one or two of its actions, or many of its actions. But what we do not accept is the fact that a foreigner, a diplomat, who will break break out of protocol and interfere, not just intervene, interfere in the internal affairs of a country. When the American ambassador goes to the Home Minister, our Home Minister, Mr. Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal, and asks him what the government will do on the 28th of October, that is not his remit. He's not supposed to ask the minister, but the minister gave him very polite replies. So I think we need to get out of this psychology. By we, I mean politicians who still believe that they can be brought back to power by foreign intervention. We need to get out of this policy. The fact is, politicians, politics is all about going to power. Every politician wishes to go to power, but then all these politicians, all political parties should make it the cardinal principle to go to the people. People are the source of all power. See, and we are not a communist country. We don't believe in Mao Zedong's dictum that power comes from the barrel of a gun. We believe that power comes from the people. So the people are important, not foreign embassies. Thank you.
Mr. Badrul Hasan, my simple asking to you, what is the easiest way to get the negotiation started with Trump and BNP? Please be specific here.
I don't. I mean, this is an election. I mean, we are. This is not a dispute where two countries are involved. The Israeli government and the Hamas are involved in negotiations. All political parties exist within Bangladesh, and what purpose can be served by negotiations? The ruling party is not willing to accept a caretaker system of caretaker government because the constitution doesn't have that system anymore. Now, the second point is, if assuming that they sit down together to talks, the BNP will demand a caretaker government, will demand the resignation of the prime minister. The prime minister and the prime minister and her government will, of course, decline. So I don't think negotiations will serve any purpose. The only negotiation that can happen is between the opposition and the election commission. The election commission must convince the opposition that elections will be free, fair, credible, and without interference or intervention from any other party, especially the ruling party.
You know very well.
Can you hear me?
Election Commission has already said, if there is no consensus between the political parties, we are undone. We cannot do anything. So the matter lies in the political parties, not.
He doesn't hear me.
Yeah.
That is the real picture of Bangladesh. Well,
Yeah.
Mr. Alongi, do you hear me? Mr. Alongi?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
now we hear me.
Yes, we hear
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, and welcome to our talk show. Well, Mr. Alongi,
Thank
my
you.
simple, you know very well that elections are going to take place on 7th of January this year, next year. But election schedule it may be rescheduled as the election commission ascertained And same thing has uttered by the Secretary General of IND. And do you believe there is any possibility of BNP coming to the elections?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for adding me with this brilliant group. I always admired Mr. Oliur Rahman that 20 years back or 25 years back, I used to enjoy his talk show. So he probably doesn't know, but I'm a serious admirer of him. And I know him for a long, long time
Thank
since
you.
I'm in the US and I'm here for 42 years. But I was watching him all this time, especially during the Bongobundu's murderers trial and all those
Yes.
discussion that I was following him. So, by the
Thank
way,
you.
I am actually educated by your conversation and discussion today. It was a very, very constructive discussion. And also, I learned from this discussion because I usually do not watch Bengali channel. And in fact, I do not have a Bengali channel. And also, I'm kind of a far away and also wasn't really knowing what is going on in Bangladesh recent days. So through this discussion, especially Professor Farhad Hussein and Syed Bodrul Hassan, they really provided a very valuable information, including um, another gentleman, I forgot his name. I think these are the two gentlemen. And Ambassador Oliur Rahman. So it is really not much that I can add because I really learned from them and I heard from them the situation in Bangladesh currently, what is going on. But I must tell you, when I was listening uh, uh, Ambassador Oliur Rahman's description of Donald Lu, I remember 45 or 43 years, no, 45 years back when I was in Bangladesh and I read an article written by a journalist in Ittefaq where how Bangabandhu was murdered and why U.S. ambassador was visiting uh, army barracks. I mean, with meeting with army officers and all these things. And it was David Boster who was the ambassador then, if I remember correctly. And he was the ambassador in Chile as well as Ghana. Everywhere he went, and he was an ambassador. He helped the army to overthrow the government, and that was his. Uh, Probably rule from the State Department. That was his assignment. So I wouldn't wonder that what our other distinguished speaker also indicated that what Mr. Lu is trying to do. But I think we are much mature, and our Prime Minister is intelligent enough, and he has a good team, so they will understand exactly how things are going and what they are intending to do. And whatever America plans to do, uh, as an American, I understand their foreign policy. So we do not have to abide by their, mercy, because what they have done during the Padma breeze, we all know what was their rule, and also we know what they were helping, whom they are helping all these years. And I think Sheikh Hasina government is the one can take credit of cleaning all those jihadist fanatics. And yet this US government does not appreciate that. They do not understand that if BNP comes in power, all those fanatics and jihadists will be joining them, and they will make Bangladesh a match. But right now, the way Prime Minister is running the show and maintaining the government, I think she's doing an excellent job. I mean, imagine it that all this development, metro train, Padma Bridge, and then development of IT projects, technology, digital Bangladesh, all this development, when we see from US, we feel so proud to become to be a citizen of Bangladesh, and also uh, we feel so proud that our prime minister what she is doing, and I strongly believe that with the advice of gentlemen like Ambassador Oliur Rahman and many others has contributed such a great deal for our government, and we really salute them that they helped Sheikh Hasina, and they made his government close to a perfect government. So, what BNP is going to do is not relevant anymore, I believe, even though they are strong opposition. We believe there should be a strong opposition, and a strong opposition always helpful for the country. But if they want to become a chaotic party instead of a uh, opposition, main opposition party, then nobody can stop them. So if they do not understand and if they do not serve the country, rather than they want to be involved in burning buses and killing innocent people, that is not going to help them. In future, they will be cornered and people will hate them. So I believe that if they really love the country, one of our speakers said they did not believe in Bangladesh. And I also believe that most of BNP leaders did not believe in Bangladesh. If they were to believe in Bangladesh, they would have participated the election, and also they would have cooperated with the government, because government is doing what Sheikh Hasina government is doing. Everything they are doing is good for the government, good for the people, good for the country. And yet, uh, what BNP is doing, imagine it, that BNP's vice chairman living in London, collecting money from all over the United States, forming a committee and taking bribes to make these committees and making millions of dollars. So, what they are doing with these millions of dollars, they are some contributing or sending some money to Bangladesh and making
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Alomgi. Maybe you may be again very within a short time, and then we'll come to you. Mr. Wali Rahman, very big responsibility lies in you now, because all the three speakers spoke very high of you, as if you are an encyclopedia, which I uttered at the beginning. Mr. Wali Rahman, Secretary General of Awami League, Mr. Waidul Kader, in the morning, today morning, says that Awami League will contest in all the 300 seats. It means virtually there will be no coalition or alliance. If it is so, Jatiya Party is not in a position to contest 300 seats. It may contest, but hardly they will get 20 to 25 seats. And the newly formed political party is a small one. They will be washed away very soon. Then what will happen to the parliament? If Awami League insists they'll go for 300 seats, and it is believed without cooperation from the Awami League, except in Jatiya Party, not a single party had given single seats, including Hasanullah Ginu, Rashid Khan Menon, and others. What is your analysis, Mr. Waliro?
Now, I will be uh, less pessimistic uh, and more optimistic than you, sir. Because I remember in this case, in this regard. Once upon a time, years ago, a French intellectual, a politician, Alexis de Tocqueville, he visited America to learn, to see and learn how American democracy functions. He went there for 1 week. He spent about 3 to 4 months. He was charmed by how the Americans get together and then they make their decisions. But then after a little while, when he looked at the decision-making process, the White House, those who decide in the White House, around the White House, then he was a bit disappointed. He came back, and then he never forgot the impression that he got from the United States. Now, for Bangladesh, well, Mr. Alamgir is now in the United States. I have been there many times. I spent about 4 years in the UN mission in New York, member of the Security Council for 2 years. So I have, and then of course I have gone to the States many times, like all of us. My understanding of American politics, my understanding or knowledge of American body politic, how it functions, how it works, has not changed. It remains the same as it was the day I landed first in America. Now, coming back to my country, America is the #1 superpower in the world. Now, tell me one thing, sir. Uh, which superpower in the world has not dabbled with politics of other countries? The Romans have done it. If we remember the Carthaginian situation, a terrible situation. The British, I come down to much later, not to the past history, the hoary history. What the British did. The British came to India. Bengal was the richest land in the British Empire. When they came to India, and when they left India, it was the poorest land. So the empires, the occupiers, they have never done anything good. They don't have anything in their mind that they'll do good. They will loot. They looted India. The British basically looted India, and including my own country, my Bangladesh. Now, I'm trying to respond to many thoughts, including the question that you asked me. Bangladesh is making progress, and remember, we started with not even $100 per capita, much less than that. Today we have about $4,000, $3,500, $4,000 per capita. And if this government policy can go on, or for some more time, another 5 years or so, then we'll come to a stage from where what we call, the economists, the famous economists call the takeoff stage. We have not yet come to takeoff stage. We need another at least 5 more years. And this Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, her leadership will certainly take us to that takeoff stage. Because once you have come to a position where now, then our movement towards or our trajectory will move up, move forward. As Bloomberg, American think tank Bloomberg has suggested, this is the era of Bangladesh. And Bloomberg is not a friend of Bangladesh. But then they have calculated that how Bangladesh is moving forward. So he has suggested that this is the era of Bangladesh. Countries like Bangladesh, Bangladesh tops the list. So quoting Bloomberg, I'll say that we top the list, and what, whatever may happen, political parties will come and go. We have spoken about BNP. It is not coming to the election. Had it come to the election, better, but it is not coming to the election. But Jatiyo Party is coming to the election. That's a very big plus. And also, General Ibrahim's political party, and then Trinamool political party. Trinamool is something that we all know that it has been taken over by the late barrister Najmul Huda, by one of my colleagues, Ambassador Shamshin Babil Chowdhury, who was in the army before. He joined the foreign ministry and now he's the party chief. So we are a multi-party democratic country, Bangladesh, and I see a future which will take us to that take off stage. And I hope and pray that I'm around to see that day when we shall take off and we shall become a model economy for the whole world, not for only South Asia or Southeast Asia, but for the whole world.
Mr. Wadi Rahman, my simple asking to you, you are talking about the economic development or the success of the diplomacy at home and abroad by Sheikh Hasina government. Question is, Trinamool BNP, led by Samsur Mubin, has no root at all. Not a single seat they can expect. Even if you talk to General Ibrahim, not possible. You may talk of Jatiyo Party. If they contest 300 seats without cooperation from Awami League or any backup from Awami League, they can get hardly 15 to 20 seats. Then the parliament to the parliament of Awami League. Almost one party. Is it participatory at all? Please.
No, sir. I will slightly demur. I'll slightly demur because a political party like Jatiyo Party, well, certainly I must admit that they are in touch with the main political party, Awami League, and Awami League is a party which understands politics, which has been in politics, and it has not come through the barrel of a gun. It has always come Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib and his political sagacity, how he brought about a political party like Bangladesh into play in the politics of Pakistan, as Sayyid Badrul Hassan has suggested very beautifully. Certainly they will. They are in touch with the political. They are in touch with the ruling party, and the ruling party will make sure. Look, this is the game of politics. So, ruling party, if they want to be an acceptable, if they want to see an acceptable election on the 7th or maybe delayed by a few days, whatever, then they have to consult with them, and they will consult with Awami League. And Awami League president, if I know her well, she is an extremely pragmatic lady, and her pragmatism goes to the point that she will not do anything that may in any way detract from the veracity or the magnitude of the democratic movement that she has undertaken. And as a matter of fact, after Bangabandhu, it is the Prime Minister who has been solely responsible for striking the roots of democracy on the soil of Bangladesh. So she will not make any such mistake, as I suspect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Alamgir, I'll come to you again very soon. Mr. Badrul Ehsan, you are listening to Mr. Wali Rahman and Mr. Alamgir and Mr. Farad Saeed. My simple asking to you, without BNP, if Awami League does not favor the small political parties, including Jatiyo Party, if it insists on contested 300 seats, then what will happen to the parliament? What will be the shape of the parliament?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Badrul,
I'm sorry, I was muted. No,
yes,
in response to your question, sir, I think in Parliament, at this point in our history, I mean, we've gone through so many fluctuations, ups and downs in the last 52 years, but I think we have come to a point where we need to have democracy actually deepening its roots in the country, and to deepen for democracy to deepen roots in Bangladesh, it's essential that we have a strong government, a strong ruling party. At the same time, it is also essential that we have a strong political opposition in parliament. Now, what will happen in the elections on 7 December? We are not willing to guess which party will win, which party will not win, because in Bangladesh we don't have, as people in the West have, we don't have regular opinion polls, giving us an idea of what will happen to these political parties at the election. But uh, but for a political party to be in a situation where it wins almost the entire uh, Jatiyo সংসদ or parliament, now that is, I don't think that is very healthy for democracy. So to go to the to a point raised earlier, uh, uh, I think you said it, if about the Jatiyo Party. Now, Jatiyo Party and other political parties which plan to take part in the election, and they will need the cooperation of the Awami League. My point is, if a political party intends to take part in elections, why should it seek the cooperation of the ruling party? It should frame its own political programs, own policies, and go ahead. But if any political party now tries to tell the country that it will cooperate, it will seek the cooperation or help or assistance or encouragement of the ruling party, that means that it is not very confident in itself. So that is not what politics is all about. And as for the BNP, as a citizen, uh, we who are here have been talking about the BNP, about politics of the country. As a citizen, personally, I have not been very supportive of the BNP for reasons of its interpretation of history, for the role that it has played in our history. But then I think there are two reasons why the BNP should reconsider its position in politics. First of all, if it has been out of power and out of parliament effectively since October 2006. So in order to not to lose its credibility, in order to go the way of history, in order to vanish, in order to avoid disappearing in history, I think it should take part in the election. And secondly, it should take part in the election through a formulation of particular policies. For example, it should convince people what its strategy in politics will be in statecraft. Then again, its attitude to Bangladeshi history. Will it continue, assuming that it comes to power, or assuming that it goes into opposition? Will it continue the distortion of history that we always accuse it of? And then again, will it does it have the capacity to have a new leadership at the top? Now we see the BNP in Bangladesh, we see the Congress in India. Both these parties are in a very precarious situation because of the dynastic factor. In the Congress, the mother, daughter, son, say they have brought the Congress low. In Bangladesh, the mother and son have brought the BNP low. So will the BNP have the strength, have the confidence to come forth with a new leadership. And finally, say we does it have any will it be able to shape any credible policies? Now these some of these politicians, the BNP, Dr. Moin Khan and then Mirza Fakhr Islam Alamgir, they're perfect gentlemen, thorough gentlemen. We understand that, but then will they have the courage to to come forth with policies which will be a reinvention of the BNP? So those are my points. And before I conclude this aspect of thing of this discussion, I'll just refer. It's a, it's a different subject altogether. Ambassador Wali Rahman talked about the exploitation of our country by the British colonial power and others, which reminded me as he was speaking of a remark by Bishop Desmond Tutu, and he said at one point, very interestingly, he said when the missionaries came to our land, came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. Then they asked us to close our eyes. We closed our eyes, and then when we opened our eyes again, they
Son,
had the land, we had the Bible.
I
Yes,
come to you again.
yes.
Uh,
Thank you.
okay, Mr. Alongir, you are hearing me?
Yes.
Mr. You listen to all of them? Just
Uh,
my
yes.
question to you, where BNP, majority of the BNP belong to, they don't believe, majority people don't believe in the war of liberation, the birth of Bangladesh, whatever it is. You said several times. Taking this into note, my simple asking to you, BNP is one of the majority party in Bangladesh. And if you go to the election commission results, the popular vote is divided between the two. So what is the importance of it? Whether he is anti Bangladesh or pro Bangladesh, immaterial here. Election is there. If there is election without BNP and all the political parties, excepting our League and BNP, are not in a position to have the seats in the parliament, only Jatiyo Party. Even Jatiyo Party made a serious allegation as the government. And in parliament, Roshan has shouted, "Oh, the prime minister, help us to build up. You are not allowing us." Why is all this question? Because Awami League even played such a game. It did not allow Jatiyo Party to get root in the population. And that is the crisis. So if Jatiyo Party contests the election 300 seats, it may get only maximum 15 to 20 seats. It is recorded. Then what will happen to the parliament? The shape of the parliament is that Awami League will get more than 270 seats. It is the reality. Mr. Alongit, please.
Well, first of all, thank you for your this interesting question, and I believe Ambassador Oliur Rahman and Syed Bodrul Hassan answered you well. Uh, I would say this: once Awami League got 99% of the vote, they rolled the country. And what Ambassador Oliur Rahman said very well, that Awami League did not, Awami League was not created as a result of gun power, or it did not come from uh, military government. So you'll have to understand that Awami League is the party who actually participated and did the leadership during the liberation war. And due to their leadership, Bangladesh became independent. And it is unfortunate that BNP has a lot of supporters. Of course, they all are Bangladeshi, even though I do not believe that they believe in Bangladesh. However, the answer to your question is that people who does not believe in Bangladesh, they should not have or would not have the moral authority to live in Bangladesh. And believe me, there are a lot of Bangladeshi that love Bangladesh, believe in Bangladesh liberation, like Dr. Momen like many others. But they are not ruling the party. Party is ruled by the people who believe in Pakistan. Therefore, even they do not participate in election, they will be the loser because this government, Sheikh Hasina government, is very capable to run the country, and they will eventually run the country very well, economically, socially, politically, even internationally. Whoever at the countries try to impose their intention to destroy our country and our government, they will not be successful because, as I told you before in this audience, that our people are much more educated, and Sheikh Hasina government is very sophisticated to understand that. So, my suggestion, I would urge BNP friends, if they love Bangladesh, if they believe in democracy, if they believe in our independence were, then they should participate in election. And there is a process, I believe, and I understand through the other guest that election will be fair and free. So they should participate in election. Election has always the consequences. I mean, how do you guarantee that Aami League will get that many seats? There is no guarantee because election may have different outcome what you are thinking of. So if they participate, election result may completely be changed. And if they come to power, we'll welcome them. So even though I don't believe that at this time, even another 5 or 10 years, what Ambassador Oli Rahman said, that if Sheikh Hasina government runs this country another 5 years, then we will be in a middle income country and there will be a lot of prosperity and development. So I strongly believe that this election will be fair and BNP should participate. And if they don't participate, so be it. Army League will run the country and they will run very well. And I have, as a Bangladeshi, believe that Army League government will run the country and with the economic prosperity as well as the government will known to the
Very much.
world.
Alamgir, thank you very much for your explanation. Well, Professor Farhad Hussain, you belong to Awami League and you're also a member of the steering committee, election steering committee of Awami League. You listen to all the lectures from the guests. My simple asking to you, a very deep-rooted question. If the majority of BNP don't believe, why why should they be allowed to contest in the election? Please, Mr. Farhad.
Very important question. Thank you, Sinabai. I'd like to go to. I'd like to bring you
You have
back to the history.
five,
I'd
five
like to.
minutes.
I'd like to take you back to the history. Uh, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, when he found that there was no sizable opposition in Lok Sabha, when he became the prime minister in 1947, he advised Jayaprakash Narayan to create an opposition bloc to take seat in the opposition bench for the sake of running democratic process very smoothly. And Jayaprakash Narayan carried out the advice of Pandit Nehru. But our Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, has been giving this sort of gesture to the oppositions and particularly BNP. But BNP has not been prepared mentally to accept this sort of gesture or to understand the language of our Prime Minister. And I think that this year, in the upcoming election, BNP is going to lose their position politically, and how far it will be the suffering issue for a political party like BNP. It is beyond my prediction because I am not so experienced person to make the prediction. But I can say one thing, that will be not good for a political party like BNP. Though BNP has been originated from the garrison, as Ambassador Waliur Rahman already mentioned, that this BNP does not have the origin or legacy of being born particularly by the support by the people, exact participated in movement doing against or voicing against injustice. BNP has been created by the military regime, and its creation is totally undemocratic, even though for the betterment of democracy, in order to save exactly Bangladesh from the influence, evil influence of the foreign power, BNP should have come to the election. But I think that BNP is deaf to this fact. One thing that is very important, election is the stimulating force of a political party. If BNP categorically and deliberately declining to participate in the election, that will create a situation for BNP which might be which has been the condition of exactly the Muslim League. Muslim League was a ruling party, and this party was headed the agenda of Pakistan, agenda of the creation of Pakistan. But now in Bangladesh, we don't find any particular existence of Muslim League. And BNP might have faced this sort of situation if this party categorically and deliberately declines the participation of election. It is my assumption.
Ordinary
Yeah,
citizen. All right.
let me
One,
have
1 minute,
2 minutes. 1 minute. Thank you very much. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the architect of Bangladesh, the founder of this country, when he exactly had gone to the election of 1970, this election was conducted under military government. This government was not the democratic government. Ayub Khan left the power of the state to his general Yahya Khan, and it was an absolute military government without any touch of public orientation. Even then, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman had gone to, father of the nation, had gone to the election. And not only that, exactly to accept the proposal of the Pakistani government, LFO, legal framework order. But he did not care for this. His sentiment was very clear, and he disclosed it to his political colleagues that if he would win the election, legal framework order will be nothing to him at all, will not create anything. Why Bangabandhu had gone to the election? This is a question. Even under the military government, in order to exactly make his position, strong position as a political leader and as a party, Awami League. That was
thank
his
you.
mission.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
his mission to make a very consolidating position for Awami League. Thank you, Sinema.
Well, this is a time to say goodbye. And before that, I would like to summarize the talks uttered by all the four guests. It is very much evident from the speeches of the guests that they belong to a particular fold and they believe in the particular fold, and that has been expressed. At the same time, they, in a single tone, believes the majority of BNP don't believe in the birth of Bangladesh. Whether it is true or not, only the people can say. At the same time, there will be election. And this time, if BNP does not take part in the election, having more than 35 popular votes, there might be election, no problem. But the participants to the election like Jatiyo Party, Trinamool Party, Ibrahim Party, and Muslim League with him. That very Muslim League with Ibrahim. Mind it. So all the small parties contesting the elections at the mercy of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. If Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina takes decision that Awami League will contest in 300 seats alone, then what will be the fate of those political parties who have no root at all at the grass level? Even they're known to the people, the constituency, except in Jatiyo. Then again, Jatiyo Party is, without any question, is the major opposition in the parliament, having less than 20 seats. Because Jatiyo Party has not been allowed to grow by the party in power. It has been last by J.M. Kadir, Roshan Ashar, even the previous Hossein Mahmoud. It is in reality. Practically, Jatiyo Party is not in a position to have the more seats. Keeping all these things together, one thing is very much clear. If there is election under the present circumstances, without having more political parties who have access to the people, nobody can challenge Awami League. And Awami League automatically will have more than 276. And nobody can challenge it. Democratically, Awami League will be elected to those seats. And we don't know what will happen next to the fate of democracy in Bangladesh. And let us pray to the Almighty Allah so that democracy may not be defeated. Only question is, if election goes in this way, definitely the election, one party will be victorious, other party will be second party. But the fate of democracy shall be in question because there is no inner democracy in any political party in Bangladesh. Neither BNP nor Awami League nor Jatiyo Party. All the political parties are suffering from lack of leaderships. And no political parties are consciously trying to build the leaderships. All parties under the command of the head of the organization. This is not a democracy. Almost all the political parties are oligarchy, dictatorial in nature. And if these political parties have the seats in the parliament, they will behave in the same way. Because the very constitution at this very moment we have, after the 12th amendment to the constitution, the chair of the head of the government is wearing the three caps: leader of the opposition, leader of the party, and the head of the government. And he is more than Stalin. No head of this government in this world at this very moment is more powerful than the Prime Minister of Bangladesh under the present setup. So nobody is thinking of it. Everybody is beating the drum in the same way. Then who will speak of democracy? Nobody knows. And thank you very much. May Allah bless us all.